I did it. I made it to the final three. Yeah. I don't know what that dance was, but you're welcome. Now that I'm here, I can say I've been running the game. I pulled a lot of the legwork in all the votes. I brought the newbies together. I created the Newbies Alliance. No one in this game worked more than I did, period.
If anything, my social game has been pretty strong for the most part this entire game, which is obviously why I'm here in the end. I am not the kind of person that will rip somebody apart to be on the top. At least on my part, it's going to be a pretty tame jury.
I have kind of felt like an outsider because I didn't come into the game knowing anyone. It's really been an uphill battle. I've been on the right side of the votes every single time. That's huge. I'm ready to prove why I deserve to win the game, and I'm proud of the way I played.
So we put a little something together for you. If you're familiar at all with the show, you know that there used to be a ceremonial end of the season tradition called Rites of Passage.
Are we doing the Rites of Passage?
We're gonna go ahead and do the Rites of
We're
Passage.
doing this thing. Woo!
Y'all brought back the auction. Y'all bringing back Rites of Passage.
I don't know what it is.
I'm just gonna show you a slideshow of the people whose lives you have crossed in the last month.
Okay.
And you're going to relive your journey in the process.
Oh,
We're
nice.
gonna throw their torch into the ocean.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't get to know Claire, but from what I've seen and heard, she was quite the badass.
I will say the first vote was really hard. I did want to work with Claire because, having watched her past seasons, she seemed like a really awesome person who loved the game. We ended up voting her out, but she was awesome from the couple conversations I was able to have with her.
What I enjoyed most about Sammy were her dog pictures that she sent. They were very cute. Had she stayed on, I'm sure that we would have gotten along pretty well.
I remember in that puzzle challenge against her, I was super nervous because I knew she was really good at puzzles.
Eric, my senior year prom date, did not get a chance to play with him in this game. I was actually looking forward to it.
I was able to play with Eric throughout the beginning of the game, and he was a really funny, smart guy, and I was really hoping that we would be able to play together in the merge as well. But unfortunately, Phil had an idol that vote, and we didn't know it, so RIP. Ashley, oh my goodness, I feel like the first person I connected on the Go to Tribe was with Ashley, and so I was double devastated when Eric got voted out and Ashley got voted out, but she picked a baller team, #GoToGoats.
Oh yeah, the girl was a challenge beast. Yeah, Ashley, you warned me. You warned me pretty well about Rob's cheating, and I guess I should have listened.
She did. She did do that.
She warned me good.
She did. She warned both of us.
Krista. Another fun fact, I babysat her, so it was fun getting to know her as an adult. She was really scary. She was so good at this game.
She was very convincing in everything that she said to me, and so, at the merge, she definitely was the biggest threat in the game.
I agree. I think that, Krista was a great friend for the beginning of the game, and then it just got a little too real. It was a hard choice, but an easy choice, if you know what I mean.
Julie was awesome. I feel like she was also just another really strong player that I got to know on Goda. She was a beast at Tetris and also omelet making. we ended up turning against each other because we were both kind of on the bottom. So sorry, Julie.
Oh, Phil. I was really excited to work with Phil in this game. He's an incredibly intelligent, smart guy, and I knew I broke his trust. Sorry, Shannon, I blindsided both your sister and your boyfriend.
Yeah, that was not an easy vote out. Phil was, a close player at the beginning of the game, and changed immediately after the Krista vote up, and I don't think that our relationship could have been repaired after that.
We were always on the opposite side of the vote, but we did have some really genuine conversations not about the game. I really enjoyed our chats about The Bachelorette and Secret Hitler, so hopefully you don't hate me.
Oh, Levi. I feel the worst about Levi because we voted him off twice, and that just sucks. I was really scared after witnessing him come back from Redemption Island, and also the fact that he was ambidextrous. It was like, oh, that is scary.
I'm excited to have a new Chicago friend. We will be taking Malort shots whenever he's back in Chicago.
We met on the island. We fell in love. Yada, yada, yada.
Beautiful.
Yeah, obviously hard to see him go. I did not envision us getting to the end together, but we got so close. So that was exciting.
Yeah, Trevor was hilarious. Oh my gosh, he had the best gifts. He knew which gifts to use. I really enjoyed talking D&D and coding with him.
This was by far the hardest vote for me, so I was really sad to see Trevor go, but I really didn't think that any of us really stood a chance if he made it to the end. I had a lot to say about Rob, and I was kidding about everything. I really was. I actually got to know Rob kind of later on in the game, and he is a hilarious guy. I don't hate him at all. I think we were enemies in the beginning, but I would say that we're friends now.
I defended him so many times in this game, so many times. But I loved our dynamic.
I think everyone knows my relationship with Rob was kind of a roller coaster in this game. At some points, he was a really good ally for me, and other points, he was a really good foil for me. And I harbor no ill will towards him at all.
Congratulations on finishing your rites of passage.
You may now burn down the shelter.
Hello, Final Three. You've come a very long way to make it this far. Having gone through your rites of passage, you are now ready to face the jury for final tribal council. I will now welcome in the members of our jury. Claire, Sammy, Eric, Ashley, Krista, Julie, Phil, Levi, Trevor, voted out at the last tribal council, and Rob, who exited the game via fire. The jury with yet another marvelous entrance. I love it. So, welcome to Final Tribal. The fate of the players now entirely rests in the hands of the jury, which is composed of people that you had a hand, directly or indirectly, in voting out of this game. I will give each of our finalists a chance to give an opening statement. We will start with the winner of our Final Four challenge, Audrey. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. First, I just want to thank the Jeffs for reaching out to me to play this game. I had a lot of fun. I do think y'all killed it. It's been a good distraction for me. To my fellow players, good Lord, y'all were all very formidable forces of nature. I think I aged like 5 years this last month. My main focus was to be as flexible and open as possible. I wanted to have numerous paths to get to the end, and I did succeed in doing that. I did have good personal working relationships with the majority of people in this game. So naturally, I couldn't take all the paths. So I had to make sure the paths I picked still kept the majority of my options open and would lead to other paths. I didn't want to pick a path that led to a dead end. So as a result of this elephant in the room, I backstabbed people. I backstabbed more people than my fellow finalists. So I'm not going to say I regret any paths that I did choose, but I will be the first to admit I could have absolutely handled it a lot better. The majority of paths that were in front of me, I worked my ass off in creating them, building them, strengthening them, navigating them. Like, I am exhausted, you guys. I can't wait to sleep after this. So with all of that being said, I just want to let all of you know that whatever questions I get asked tonight, I promise I will be fully honest, and for better or for worse, I will be fully transparent.
Thank you, Audrey. Laura, the floor is yours.
I would also like to thank the Jeffs for doing a wonderful job hosting this season, as well as the audience for being amazing spectators, and the players for making this such a fun and competitive game. Though I came into this game with zero expectations, having never watched Survivor or anything of the sort, I quickly wanted to befriend everybody that I possibly could, which was pretty easy the first round because I was put onto a team where I didn't know a single person, and everybody else knew at least one other person, if not multiple people on the team. I succeeded for the most part in that goal. I tried making genuine relationships, and I hope that despite being voted off, you consider them genuine relationships because they were for me. I was able to survive multiple tribals, despite, my name being thrown in a few times and having a kind of big target on my back because of my significant other being in the game. I conceived the blind side that in my mind was the one that kind of shifted the game. Being the sole person that made it to the final four without an advantage or an idol, I really attribute that to, my social game. I definitely think that my relationships were strong for the most part. I remained loyal and honest to those who remained loyal and honest to me.
Thank you, Laura. And finally, Jenny, floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. So first off, I just wanted to say I had a blast getting to know all of you. I came into the game not knowing anyone, and so it really has been awesome to be able to get to know you guys, both like through the game and on like a outside, like talking about things outside of the game as well. I wanted to just start off by saying I am very proud to sit here in the final three with both Audrey and Laura. I think we obviously played get the game together since the merge, and so to get to where we are now, we really had to work together. And I've also gotten to know them, on a personal level and form genuine relationships with them. That being said, I am ready to state my case tonight and to prove to you guys that I'm deserving of the title of Sole Survivor. I played a really strong strategic and social game to get myself to the end. And I also think I played a bold game and was willing to take big risks throughout the game. Despite being on the chopping block multiple times through the first couple tribals during the merge, I took the risk to not play my idol each of those times because of the confidence I had in my perception of the game. And then I was able to save the idol for the very last time you could use an idol in the game. And since I had immunity, I took a huge risk and played it for Rob. And so, after that, I had to do the fire making challenge, and I beat Rob, and I earned myself a spot here in the final three. So I hope that tonight you guys can see how hard I've been playing this entire month, and I hope I can win your votes tonight.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, having heard opening statements from each of the players, I will now ask all members of the jury to turn off their cameras, and when I call on them, they will turn on their camera to ask their question. Claire, you may ask your question.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everyone. First, I want to say congrats on making it to the final 3. This is so exciting. You all really did play an amazing game. So before I start, I just want to say one thing the jury is looking for is for y'all to own your games. We're going to ask you questions because we want to know the honest answers. So please own your game, be honest about what happened. With that in mind, my question is, I want to hear from each of you if there was one or maybe 2 moves that would not have happened without your specific intervention, whether it was your idea or you pushing for it to happen. What move was made integral to this game that you made happen without you would not have happened?
So I did create the newbie alliance at the start of the merge. So in doing that, I don't think the Krista vote out would have happened without me, without creating it. Laura rightly did come up with the idea, but all the logistics behind it and making sure all the votes were where they were supposed to be and where they occurred would not have happened without me or without me forming this alliance. The Phil vote was also very much me as well. I knew Phil saw right through all of my lies after the Krista vote. He was poking holes in everything I was saying, so I knew he didn't trust me anymore, so that's why I got Phil out before he could get me out.
I came up with the idea for the Krista vote out. I had spoken to Trevor early on about how she was a big threat and actually talked him and Jenny out of voting Rob out because I knew that Krista was a bigger player. I don't know if Audrey technically started the group for the newbies. I also don't think that the newbies would have been a group had it not been for Trevor and myself. But yes, that I think the 4 of us were integral for that vote off. Honestly, for Sammy, it was Audrey and I kind of talking about Sammy getting voted off first and that kind of happening because we hadn't talked to her. And then we kind of floated the idea to everybody else. Same with Levi. We didn't necessarily put out the names, but we floated the ideas and then other people kind of fell in line. So I think for, the majority of the votes, at least I think myself and Audrey have been a part of that.
Phil and I had been on the opposite side of the votes numerous times, so we weren't going to work together. And so I knew we had to get Phil out sooner rather than later. So I wouldn't say that that was Audrey's idea. I think the one vote that I can 100% say was purely my vote or my play was the giving Rob the idol or playing the idol for Rob, because the easy thing to do that vote would have been just to go along with my alliance. I had the immunity idol and basically had I just voted Rob out with everyone else, I would have still made the final 4. I could have still, had a chance at winning the final immunity challenge and or winning at the fire making challenge. But I chose to try to make a big move that I could claim for myself. And it was a huge risk in doing that because I don't know if I can trust Rob. He's a wild card. And, obviously going against my alliances was something that was really difficult for me to do personally, but I did it. I made a big move and I don't regret that at all.
With all due respect to Jenny, the idol move on Rob, 100% entertaining, 100%. But I do think it ultimately didn't really change all that much. Trevor was going to go out at 4. I'm still very confident I would have beaten Trevor at that final 4 immunity challenge. So honestly, while the move was flashier than anything I did with my idol, and definite props for that. And I know the audience and the jury were living for it, but honestly, I think it just kind of flipped the order that Rob and Trevor went home.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Sammy, you have the floor.
Hi, guys. I'm very proud to see 3 newbies in this game, 3 ladies in this game at this point. So well done. My question is just for Jenny. Sorry, Audrey and Laura. Welcome to Final Tribal Council. You've played a great game. Now that you're finally here, what's done is done, and you're finally given a chance to show the jury what strategic moves that you made that we may not be aware of. So I'm going to ask you about the infamous Cardsgate. From what I know, it seems like Rob's strategy of wetting the cards was common knowledge to at least one other person who is still in the game. So my question for you is this. Did you know about wetting the cards beforehand? Did you do it yourself? and I'd love to hear an explanation for your actions as well.
So Rob did mention to me before, like, the tribal, that he was like, oh, if the challenge is to, like, stack cards on your spoon or, like, balance the cards on your spoon, it is easier for the cards to be wet. I do, like, remember having that conversation with him, and I didn't say anything in response to that, so that's my fault, okay? But when we started the, like, Zoom and the challenge was announced, I like, that never even crossed my head to, like, pre-wet the cards. I'm a surgeon and I think I have steady hands, and this is like a challenge that is, like, made for me to lose. So I would not, like, give up my integrity to wet the cards beforehand. And I'm being 100% transparent that Rob did mention that in a call to me, but to be honest, I was not really, like, that went through one ear and out the other. I did not wet my cards, and I admit that Rob told me that. I didn't know if he actually went through with it until he posted the picture, though.
Thank you, that answers my question. Good luck, guys.
Thank you, Sammy. We're on to Eric.
Hey guys, congratulations on making Final Three. I was hoping you could each take us inside an example of a person that you, at any point in the game, considered to be a threat, and explain how you decided to work with or against this person, how you managed different threats in the game.
So the first thing that popped into my head was in the first merge vote, when Krista brought it to our attention that Ginny had the idol, and ergo we had to get her out. To me, at this point in the game, I had the merge idol. That meant I knew where all the idols were in that game. So to me, that was not threatening. Like, it was threatening for other people because she had the idol and they wanted to flush it. But for me, there's so many unknown variables in the game of Survivor that when you do have known variables, you want to hang on to that. Knowing where all the idols were, it was good. It allowed me to do a lot more things that I would not have been able to do otherwise.
I'm gonna second Audrey's with Krista. I had a great relationship with her early on. I actually shared some information with her about my relationship with Trevor, and I found out that she was actually the one that shared that information with everyone. And then when she and Phil actually had kind of lied about Phil's idol a little bit, and then they confronted me and told me that they had lied to me and Trevor about it. That didn't make me feel super great. I actually also knew about multiple idols, so I was very happy about voting off Krista, because I also, in addition to knowing that Audrey had the idol and Jenny had the idol because Audrey had told me about her idol early on, I also knew that Trevor had an advantage. So I was sitting pretty for a while, and it actually helped my game a lot because I knew this for a couple rounds and nobody else did.
I thought you were a huge threat in the game. I think just from the conversations we had during Goda, like, I could tell, like, how much, like, you thought about the game, and, like, the answers that, like, your responses, like, at first I was like, okay, I don't even understand what Eric is saying. Like, he's clearly, like, a very smart guy who, like, understands the game well. And so I wanted to work with you in the game. Like, with the Claire vote, like, Claire approached me too about voting out Julie. And I think, like, after the conversations we had, I realized that, like, we had built at least some level of trust. And, I didn't want to, if I had voted with Claire to vote Julie out, then, like, I would have lost your trust too. Like, we had strategic conversations, and you were someone that I could, bounce ideas off of with. And I wanted, even though you were a threat, I felt like you were a good ally to have.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, thank you, Eric. We now bring in Ashley.
Hi, guys. First of all, congratulations. Love seeing strong women in the end. Jenny, considering the integrity and the ethics of playing this game, why did you use your idol on Rob despite his obvious cheating?
Once it gets down to, like, the final, like, 5 or 6 people, you have to start thinking of the game, like, from your personal standpoint. Like, yes, like, Rob cheated, and, honestly, he was a bully kind of throughout the game. I didn't like how he played initially. He did apologize to me, so I did, like, at least take that with a grain of salt. But, at that point, at Final 5, I was trying to figure out what would give me the best chance of winning. And, my ideal final three is this final three, but had Rob been in the final three with me, I thought I stood a better chance of winning than if I sat in the final three with Trevor. I think we both know that like Trevor played an amazing game. He's a really great guy. Honestly, like I would vote for him. So I didn't want to sit in the final three with Trevor because I didn't think I would win. It's not that I think that Rob deserved to make it to the final four or anything like that. It was purely a strategic move.
Thank you, Ashley. We now bring in Krista.
Hello, ladies. Really happy to see 3 women sitting here. I was in this position last season, so I know how hard it is, and you guys are doing a great job. My question is for Jenny. I am having a really hard time finding any flaw in your gameplay. I think you played a perfect game, essentially, from what I understand and from what I know. But I just want to hear, like, a mistake that you feel like you made or something that you regret.
I totally trusted you, like during the Eric vote. I believed that you didn't think Phil had the idol. When Phil like unmuted his mic during tribal council, I like my face, like I lost all my color in my face because I was like, damn it, like I knew that this was a possibility, but I definitely believed you. And I think that when Eric got voted out, and then also, you know, we get to the merge and Ashley also got voted out, like that was like a very like big wake up call for me because those were 2 of my big allies in the game. And so I 100% believed you when you said you didn't know that Phil had the idol.
Thank you, Krista. We now bring in Julie.
Hello, ladies. First off, congratulations. So happy to have a female winner, whoever it may be. My question is going to be directed to Audrey and Laura. How do you feel that your games differed from one another? Because ostensibly, based on the votes and how things went, you guys were always sort of voting together and making similar moves. So I want to see how you think you guys played a different game.
Okay, I will start with that. So yeah, Laura and we worked together this whole game. There's no denying that, but I usually really hate this term, but I think it describes us pretty perfectly. If you're looking for the alpha in the relationship, it was me. She doesn't know a lot about Survivor. I watch a lot of Survivor. I listen to all the podcasts. I have a lot of knowledge of Survivor. I was the one informing her on a lot of the best game moves based off of Survivor history. I persuaded her a lot to do moves that she probably should not have done. So I feel bad for saying this because I do think Laura is a really great person and did play a good game, but I do think I was the one who brought Laura here. She said this whole time she didn't want to be in the final 3. Anytime her name was on the block, she was willing to bow down, and I would not let her. I dragged her here. Sorry to say it, but.
While some of that is true, I don't think that I ever remember you sharing any tips or giving me notes on who to vote for. I feel like I always came to the same conclusions, if not before you. But I definitely think that my game was different because I was in a relationship with Trevor and I had a target on my back, more so than Audrey. My name was thrown out multiple times in tribals and Audrey's was never thrown out. I definitely feel like, yes, we worked very closely together, but I had a better competitive game than she did. I was able to win immunity for a round. I know that she won the idol. You got 2. Okay, well, that's fair. Never mind. That's true. Counts the last one. I mean, yes, you know, here's the thing. You need to work with people to get to the end. I worked with Audrey. Like she was my confidant. I mean, I trusted her. She trusted me. I don't necessarily think that, you know, by saying early on that I didn't want to make it to the top 3, that was, you know, my downfall, because guess what? I didn't know Survivor. I just figured that I wasn't going to make it to the top 3. I didn't want to talk badly about people because I'm not that person. I don't like talking badly about people. And from watching season 1, that was, you know, a lot of talking about that. So I'm just hoping that, you know, my game strategy shows that I am deserving of being here and that, you know, I don't get lumped in with Audrey or Trevor, because I definitely think that I played a hell of a game.
Thank you. Good luck, ladies.
We'll now bring in Phil.
Hello. This is funny because I think two of the three up here were my final three, and that actually never changed, which is contrary to other things. The other person is somebody that I targeted multiple times and thought I had dead to rights. So I want to hear your single best moment of the game.
I think that my single best moment was the Krista vote out, which I will fully take credit for, because as soon as Krista flipped on Jenny, I had been talking to Trevor as soon as the merge hit about voting off Krista. I knew that she was a threat. I knew that she was in your pocket, or you were in her pocket, and I knew that that was going to bite us down the line. And she also had a lot of other friends that were still in the game. I told Trevor this, and as soon as I saw that Audrey was even kind of considering the fact that the whole Jenny vote off was a little weird, I was like, we need to do this now. And I told Audrey about it, and Trevor contacted Jenny, and then we formed the newbie group. And then Trevor brought in Julie, who also voted off Krista. I think in my mind, it was all me, because I just knew it was the right time that she needed to go, and I was able to convince everybody and move the parts.
I kind of have two. They're kind of related. I already mentioned the creating the newbie alliance. I guess I'll go with the other. That double tribal of getting out both Julie and Phil. Yeah, Julie, I definitely wanted out because she was the only person at that point I wasn't working with. And I know Ginny and Trevor were working with her. So I wanted to cut that off so they would have fewer tools to blindside me down the road. Phil, I think I already spoke to how I did not originally wanted to get you out so soon after the Krista vote, but you saw right through me. Props to you, you're a super intelligent guy. So to actually pull this off, though, there was talks that, yeah, Trevor brought up the idea to use his name as a decoy because he was worried that one of the boys, being Rob, you, Phil, and Levi, could have an idol. That's a thought exercise I didn't have to go through because I knew where both idols were, but I was the only person who could pull that off. I don't think anybody here realizes that that day I was literally nonstop on the phone, hopping in between calls with everyone, with an absurd amount of alliances. I was on a call at one point with both Laura and Phil, and they both thought I was in with them to blindside the other. I was constantly going back and forth between the newbie chat and the boys chat, both on phone and through Discord. During the actual tribal, since Julie wasn't there, the boys kept on changing it. So I had to relay that back to the newbies where they were voting. I actually created a Google spreadsheet to calculate the votes for us really quickly since we don't have time to sit there and calculate everything. So that would never have happened without me. And Jenny was going to play her idol at that Jenny vote, at that first one, but I knew she was going to get 3 votes and Julie was going to get 4, so she was going to misplay her idol, and I told her not to play it. So I did a shit ton of work that round.
Well, I actually created the original spreadsheet, so I'm going to say that. But I think looking back, during the first vote after the merge, I didn't feel great because I knew that I was not in the majority because there was a lot more Bakal than Goda. And so when I found out that Krista was trying to target me, I think the big question in my head was whether or not to play my idol. Because, everything that Audrey and Laura have been saying, where the votes are going, whatever. But if I play my idol, then it doesn't matter. But ultimately, I decided not to play my idol because I played out all the scenarios in my head, and I realized that the worst case scenario, I was safe. So if the newbie alliance, if we all of us 4 votes against Krista, right? That means there's 4 votes left. It was actually not Trevor who convinced Julie to vote with us. Julie had approached me first, and because she heard that we were both on the bottom, which was true because that's what I heard too. I knew that you and Rob were going to vote me regardless. But Julie, would she go to Rocks for Krista? I didn't think so. I knew Krista and Julie didn't trust each other, so I didn't think that Julie would go to Rocks for Krista, and even if we went to Rocks, I'm safe. So I chose not to play the idol during that vote because I had played out the worst case scenario in my head. And that's kind of how I approached every tribal council. And so, the fact that I was able to save that day 2 idol for the very last time that I could play it, I think that was a huge strategic move on my part, long term.
We now bring in Levi.
Hey y'all, congratulations on making it to Final Tribal. That in itself is a huge accomplishment. Congratulations to all newbie Final 3 and an all-female Final 3. Very proud of you all. I'm going to give you a little bit of change of pace. I personally place a lot of value in challenges. Now, we've all seen your challenge performances, but I was wondering if you could give us any insight to some behind-the-scenes actions, whether it was figuring out a challenge clue, practicing, or just flat-out balling out in a challenge.
Yes, I'll go first again. I did win the most individual immunities out of all 3 people sitting here. So that final immunity, I take a lot of pride in that. I don't know if most people know, I actually dislocated my elbow 2 years ago and had elbow surgery a year ago. So the balancing, the balls on the book, I was really nervous for. So I actually used my non-dominant hand. I theorized that the heavier the book, the less that when I flinched, the less the balls would roll around. When Jeff said there was going to be a slide puzzle, I knew I was going to win that. I practice slide puzzles all the time when I'm sitting on the couch. I'm really good at slide puzzles. I don't think anybody else was close. I think someone said that they were close, but their top left was wrong. But if you know anything about slide puzzles, you start at the top left and go. So I think I think I was the last person to get to the slide puzzle, but I killed it.
I was proudest of my bird fact knowledge. Honestly, I don't know how I retained that information. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And thank goodness it was multiple choice. Had it not been multiple choice, I think I would have been screwed.
So I wanted to talk about the fire making challenge. So, with like the clue that we had gotten, one of the things that we had needed was like a deck of cards. And I was kind of like confused about that because we had just done the challenge with the deck of cards, balancing it on the spoon. And so I was like kind of concerned because like I didn't think we were going to do like the same challenge back to back. And so I actually thought that it might be like the fire making challenge with the deck of like the house of cards, even though usually that's like at the next tribal. So I had practiced beforehand just making a house of cards because I thought that like chances were I was going to have to do it. Like unless I magically win like the last immunity challenge, like if Laura wins, she takes either Audrey or Trevor. If Trevor wins, like he's going to take Laura. If Audrey wins, like she'll probably take Laura as well. Like I thought maybe she would take me, but after the Rob move, I was like, there's no way she's going to take me. And then actually it was funny because if Rob won, he might actually take me. I actually thought that Rob had the like greatest chance of taking me to like the final 3 if he won. And so I had been practicing how to make a house of cards. I wanted to like have more time to practice, but I do think my practicing paid off because I ended up beating Rob.
Thank you, Levi. We have 2 jury members to go. We now bring in Trevor.
Oh, my newbies. I am so proud to see you all make it to the end. Not exactly how we all planned it, but still, it's really a joy. I actually wanted to ask you each a question, and that is, what role did loyalty play in your game? You had allies, yes, and many of us ended up with daggers in our backs. And don't feel bad, it's the nature of the game. But of the allies that you've had, how did you work around the loyalty that you cultivated?
So, I mean, Trevor, we've been playing together since like day 1. And like, with day 1, we had like the Taj Alliance. I don't think anyone knows about that, but that was like Trevor, me, and Ashley. And so like, I was like 100% about that alliance. And like, just from like all the conversations like we all had on Goda, I was very pro like Goda strong. And I was very loyal to that. When we had the tribe swap, like we were trying to get Phil out and like we were trying to make it seem like we weren't all close. And so like Krista, me, and Phil had a call, and Phil had told me like the plan was to vote Eric. I messaged Eric before the vote, and I was like, hey Eric, Phil's gonna vote you. And like I didn't have to do that. And like, I do genuinely think that I played a very loyal game. The only like vote that I would say that I didn't was like when I voted for you. And the reason I voted for you was because like at Final 5, I really didn't think I could beat you. I think we played together since the beginning. A lot of the moves we had like were shared, and I like saw the way that you spoke at tribal. Like, you're very eloquent, you're very calm and collected, and I just didn't think I could beat you. So, you know, I was very true to like our entire like alliance the whole game, but at final five, I, you know, to win, I really think that I had to make that move. And so, you know, I hope you didn't take it personally because it was purely a strategic move.
I was fairly loyal most of the game. Obviously, there were some exceptions, but I think for the people that I was close with, I was very, I mean, or at least for the original Bacall, we were all very close. I think I continued to be loyal to Bacall during the Bacall 2.0. And then I think after the merge, it became a question of who was loyal to me and who did I trust, because there were quite a few people who had backstabbed me at that point, or, you know, lied to me about stuff or shared information that I personally, I wouldn't have shared if they had, you know, told me about stuff. I knew about Audrey's idol the entire game and didn't even tell my husband because I was, you know, really good about keeping secrets, and I, you know, she asked me not to tell anybody, so I didn't tell anybody.
So I'm going to be honest here. I didn't really care about loyalty in this game. At the merge, I was working with literally everybody besides Julie, so loyalty didn't mean anything. So sorry to break that news. How I measured who I worked with was a few things. The first being the people who I could tell trust me the most. People who didn't have a filter around me, people who were blatantly obvious and blunt with their words towards me. With the newbie alliance, I knew that I could sow a pro-newbie rhetoric really easily, but ultimately it came down to who I felt trusted me and who I felt had no other options. People who had a lot of options, I didn't want to trust because then they could blindside me. So I either clipped those options away from them, or I worked harder on them being bonded to me. But sorry, I was loyal to my cat, Ginny, if that counts. I gotta support her.
Thank you, Trevor. And finally, to bring us home, we bring in Rob.
Hello, survivors. Congratulations to you all for being here. Well deserved. You all played excellent games in your own right. I do not have a question, but I do have some statements to make before we go to the final vote. So with that, I want to say a couple things. First, to Laura, you did differentiate your game from Audrey in several ways. You played a stellar social game, and you should put a feather in your hat for that. Your kindness won over all the other people who were playing this game. You made it so two of the most heartless people, myself and Krista, could not bring ourselves to vote you out. Even though we knew that you were a huge threat, that with Trevor being in the game, we talked about it ourselves and we decided there's no way we will ever cast a vote for Laura. And that brought you to the end, and that is admirable. Audrey, you also differentiated your game in many ways. You worked through a ton of avenues. You fooled me completely. I thought that we were a tight group, and I was blindsided not once, but twice. And I have to tip my hat to you. That is very impressive. Not only that, you won key immunity challenges, and you found the idols. That is no easy task. We all searched and searched, and not only did you find them, you held the information to yourself, and absolutely respect the game that you played. Finally, to Jenny, I think the defining moment for me in the end was you playing the idol for me, not because, I mean, obviously I love that you were saving me, but the reason why you played it for me showed your perception, understanding that I was a goat, that people do not like me. It was safer to have me than Trevor. And you took the shot while the others continued to vote down party lines and vote me out. You saw the opportunity to take out a huge threat. You took the risk, and then you vanquished me in the fire building. Great job. And each of you played an excellent game. We are blessed to have three strong, wonderful women to represent this season of Survivor. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Can I ask the jury to turn on their cameras, please? All right, a nice, wholesome way for the final tribal to end. And now it's time for closing arguments. I will now give each of the 3 finalists a chance to plead their final case to the jury. This is your last chance to sway any votes that might still be up for grabs at this point. Audrey, you're up first.
So, yeah, y'all grilled us pretty good. I feel like Michael Scott's foot right now. I just want to point out some highlights that I don't think have been mentioned yet. I never received a single vote in this game. I was never voted against. I was immune from the final 6 onwards. I was also the only person in this game to get both an idol and an advantage at the auction. I will proudly say I drove the majority of the strategy in the merge. Absolutely. A single vote did not go by without my approval and without my logistics. The exception being, of course, Ginny's idol play, which I stand by, honestly did not change that much. And I mean, good on Ginny. She knew she needed a move at that point. The Newbie Alliance, while yeah, I had some questionable loyalties, the 4 of us worked together so well. And I really commend both Ginny and Laura for all the great things that they did.
Thank you, Audrey. Laura, you have the floor.
Thank you, Jeff. I think that I've explained myself to the best of my ability. I definitely think that, again, I'm trying to be better about not underselling myself, because I figured most people would lump me in with my husband and or Audrey. And I definitely feel like I was a big contender in the game, though maybe a quieter one. I definitely was the one that, tried spilling or making it so that Julie seemed like she was the one that came up with the Chris to vote off. I would also like to say that I knew that Jenny actually got help getting her idol from Trevor. That might change a few things as well. But I know for a fact that he helped you in the idol hunt.
Thank you, Laura. And finally,
Okay.
Jenny.
I was the one on the chopping block for most of the beginning of the merge. Like, my name came up the first vote, the second vote, the third vote, and not just like one vote. Like, literally, like, I almost got voted out multiple times. I saved myself. I could have played my idol, but I didn't play my idol because of my perception of the game. And I'm not going to stand here and say that I would have gotten here without my alliance. No, I would not have gotten here without my alliance. Like, the Newbie Alliance, like, I needed that to get me to the close to the end, but like, what got me here to the final 3 wasn't the Newbie Alliance. It was like my own efforts. And I beg to differ. I don't think the Rob vote was a flashy move. I think that it was a move that I needed to make, because none of you guys were going to take me as the person like to the final 3. And that's why I did that move. It wasn't to make a flashy move or anything like that. I don't think what you said was correct, Audrey. I do think that that move was a lot more than just Trevor and Rob like swapping positions. To say that I was coasting through the game is absolutely incorrect. I was thinking through every single tribal, what the scenarios were, and like whether to play my idol or not, who to trust, who to not trust. And so just because like Audrey and Laura may have been in like the know of the votes, like that doesn't, like, I didn't get here because of what they said. I got here because of like my own strategy. And I know that like our alliance was essential to get us this far, but like to get to the very end, like that was me. I'm proud to sit here in the final 3, and I think no matter what the results are, I'm going to be really happy, because like I'm really incredibly proud of the 3 of us.
Okay. Thank you, Jenny. Well, it's been a long hour of getting grilled about your gameplay. It is time to vote. Remember, this vote is different. You want to see your name on these pieces of paper. The jury is voting for the winner of this season. Rob, you're up first. Okay, for the final time, I will tally the votes. Okay, before I read these votes, I just want to say this has been a pleasure playing this with you all. It's made the month of November infinitely more fun for me. I hope it's been more fun for you. I will now read the votes. First vote, Jenny. Laura. Audrey. After 3 votes, we are tied 1 vote apiece for Jenny, Laura, and Audrey. Next vote. Jenny. That's 2 votes, Jenny. Laura. That's 2 votes, Jenny, 2 votes, Laura, 1 vote, Audrey, 5 votes left. Jenny. Jenny. The winner of Survivor Fans versus Favorites, Queen Jenny. That's enough. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you all for an awesome season.